man, for anybody to say that gangbanging wasn't worse than slavery, homie, is ludicrous. That 400 years ain't got shit on this 50 years. That 400 years of slavery doesn't have nothing on the 50 years of cycles of gun violence and mayhem that's been black on black.
Yeah, the civil rights movement stopped because of Crips and Bloods. When we started going to prison, we had to fight the Mexican Mafia, the Black Guerrilla family. We coming in there following George Jackson, Geronimo Pratt. These were, they just had the San Marin shootout where they went and tried escaping from San Quentin up from Soledad to Soledad Brothers and all that. And here it is, a group of young blacks coming in for getting into it with blacks. They didn't like that. Every race has an organization that will kill me and my fellow blacks because of the color of our skin, but blacks only kill blacks because of the areas they stay in. Blacks only kill blacks because of the areas they stay in.
Crips stood for Community Resources for Independent People. It was styled on the Black Panther Party, which was formed 3 years earlier by Huey P. Newton and Bobby Seale, further down the West Coast in Oakland. There were many organizations springing up around the same time all over the country with the same ideas of protecting and serving the community. Like so many of these organizations, their commitment to these basic values was not given the opportunity to run its course. Individuals marked out by police as leaders were targeted and arrested on various bogus charges, then convicted on the flimsiest of evidence. Many organizations were pitted against each other through the work of informants and undercover FBI agents who would provoke confrontations as well as provide information as to the whereabouts and movements of individuals. Others were just plain murdered by the police.
All right, hold on. Let me just ask you a question. Why are you guys bloods? Why are you in the gangs?
Why is we in the gang? I guess because the area we grew up in, man. Everybody go in that area, man. Everybody follow the same line. BGs grow up to be OGs, little niggas gang name.
Like the Crips, but it's just the size that got me up.
I don't understand. It's the what?
The slobs, the Pyrus.
What's the Pyru?
That's the other ones, the ones that we killing.
The ones that we killing. The ones that we killing.
The ferocity with which police departments went after the black community, particularly young black men, is shown by the fact that by 1971, 2 million blacks were being arrested each year. The fear of the black community producing any more Huey P. Newtons or Malcolm X's or the development of a strong revolutionary movement were the main reasons behind such police action and J. Edgar Hoover's COINTELPRO. Thus, any spirit of resistance was literally harassed, imprisoned, or murdered out of the community. Gangs, however, remained, serving a different purpose.
Brandon Washington kind of single-handedly started what I call the Crips, C-R-I-B-S, not C-R-I-P-S, in 69, late 69, early 70. And then Jamel Barnes and Stanley Williams continued this Crip identity, but then it started to change into this Crippin' around 72, 73. But there were other guys that were there in the beginning, like Batman Davis, Mike Conception.
With large amounts of blacks being railroaded into prison, you could imagine the social impact. Virtually thousands of youths would be picked up by the police for no given reason, taken to police stations, mugshotted, fingerprinted, and then held until their families were notified and picked them up.
Brandon, they was in another gang called the Avenues. They left the Avenues, you know, because of a certain situation, and they just started calling themselves the Crips. You know what I'm saying? I don't remember no reason or no why they started calling themselves the Crips. Everybody coming up with their own assumption, but I know that at the time that we started and got it formed and made it into what it is today, it wasn't no reason. It just was a name.
At a time when the availability of jobs were decreasing, to be young, black, and have a police record meant that the chances of finding a job was almost nil. If you combine this with the steady removal of social provisions and the marginalization of whole sections of communities, it's not surprising that social relations began to suffer. The destruction of the black family is a very real phenomenon.
And remember, I am asking you not just to hire the Phi Beta Kappas and the Lena Horns. I'm asking you also to apply to let apply and to hire dumb Negroes like you do dumb white people, and mediocre Negroes like you do mediocre white people.
It should be noted that during the very same period of the 1970s, while black communities were being forced into the lowest strata of society, affirmative action programs were working a way to create a black middle class. Though in relation to the whole black population they were a very small number, they occupied positions in city, state, and federal government, worked inside corporate America, and ran their own businesses. This class was purposefully and knowingly created by the establishment to give the impression that they could make it if only they kept their heads down and noses clean. In reality, a culture of survival had now gripped a large section of black America.
This is now a war zone where life is cheap, some say worthless.
If I go into my neighborhood and they see me, and if I got a gun, most likely if it's more than one, most likely I'm gonna shoot one of them.
When people cannot eat or clothe their children, they will steal to survive. A person without a job who has been influenced by the rampant materialism of the dominant culture can be recruited into criminal activity. The illegal economies of crime and crack have become the only means of survival for many people. In amongst such conditions, children are the most vulnerable. Society's alienation of these youths mean that the only place that they can find respect, kinship, and power is within a gang. The bond between gang members is so strong that many will kill or die for each other, no question. A gang has been described as being your religion, your family, your college, your everything.
Earlier this month, a 19-year-old killed in a drive-by shooting was buried. He was Annie Dirk's grandson. In the past 5 months, she's buried 2 grandsons and her own teenage son, all victims of senseless gang-related shootings. Good boys who Annie says were in the wrong place at the wrong time.
However, the current level of violence cannot be explained by these factors alone. The stigma of black people being called naturally aggressive is over 500 years old, but the explanation for violence cannot be linked to genes or biological makeup. Violence is learned behavior. A child that is beaten frequently and unjustly will learn to resort to violence against others. Similarly, a community that is constantly visited with unjust killings and beatings at the hands of an oppressive police force can learn to settle conflicts through violent means. The internalization of problems caused by external factors by then has taken place.